All right, Grant, we were having this conversation about two sports stars and the practicality of competing in two sports. If you were a great baseball player in college, would you have attempted to play two sports?
Wow. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think so. I mean, if I was a great player, you got to think back in the early 90s, you had Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson. And I think both of them at that time when I was in college were going through the two-sport thing. And so I would have tried it. It might have been a little difficult with the basketball season in baseball. But, I mean, I would have, my ego was pretty large back then. I would have probably tried to do it.
If you were running an NBA team right now and a player said to you, I want to compete in two sports, would you be in favor of it, or would you want the guy to focus just on one?
Now as an NBA GM, you're wearing that general manager's hat. You'd want your guy focused in on your sport. Basketball, and like all these sports, I mean, it's year-round. But as a general manager, particularly if you have a young player, I mean, the summer, the off season is an opportunity to get better, to improve. You want your player in the gym working on their game, working on their skills. Maybe if a young player who's an interior player needs to get stronger, get in the weight room. Nowadays, general managers want their players, particularly the young guys, they want them in the facilities in the off season, getting better, working with the coaching staff, the strength coach. And so the idea of going to another sport would not be attractive and would probably hurt someone's draft status if that was what they were trying to do.
He's Grant Hill, NBA on TNT, and the co-host of NBA Inside Stuff here on the Dan Patrick Show. Grant, yesterday Mike Woodson called the Knicks season kind of a disaster. I think he was being charitable, calling it kind of a disaster. But when you look at the Knicks, with the expectations they had this year, what's gone wrong for them?
Well, I mean, the expectations were high, but I think on paper, I mean, this team, I felt like they were going to digress a little bit. I think a couple of things have factored into that. First of all, and people laughed a year ago when they brought in Jason Kidd, Kurt Thomas, Marcus Camby, but those guys, obviously at the end of their careers, they provided the leadership and the voice in the locker room. And I felt that there was going to be a void, and I think certainly we've seen that. I think also too they had some shooters. I mean, I'm not trying to put it all on the guys that they lost, but Copeland, the other guy whose name I'm not remembering, but they had some guys that were spacers, and the ball moved, and it gave I think Carmelo an opportunity to have more room to operate. I think that was a fact. And then injuries. I mean, they've had some injuries early on. I think it's cost them some games. Amari's been out. He's been inconsistent in that regard. Tyson Chandler. And so when you have injuries, you start losing games. You lose confidence. You sometimes forget the remedy or forget the formula as to what it takes to be successful. So it's sort of a confluence of a number of things. But, yeah, it has been, as Coach Woodson says, kind of a disaster. And the great thing for them is that they're still in the East and they're still technically could make the playoffs, but that's definitely a long shot.
You were a high-profile free agent once, moving effectively from Detroit to Orlando. If you were a free agent again, would you want to be a teammate of Carmelo Anthony?
If I were a free agent now, yeah, yeah, but
you did pause. You did pause.
Yeah, well, I mean, as an older player, yeah, I mean, a chance to play with a young guy who can fill it up, yeah, I would. And I think even back in the day when I was, sort of on that level, and before my injury problems, yeah, I probably would want to play with a guy like that, a guy who could score and put up numbers. I think we focus so much on what he doesn't do. Or what he can't do, but he does have a lot of redeemable qualities, if you will, on the court, and he has a tremendous talent. I think the challenge is surrounding him with the right players, and I thought last year you had the experienced guys around him. I thought he was able to go out and shine and play extremely well, and of course they got off to a great start. And things have changed this year. But, yeah, I could have back in the day played with a Carmelo Anthony for sure.
Seven-time All-Star Grant Hill hanging out with us here on the Dan Patrick Show. We have a poll question today about NBA All-Star Weekend. Would you rather see a slam dunk contest, which we have, or would you rather see a one-on-one tournament, Kobe versus LeBron, and so on?
Oh, wow. I like the slam dunk. You know, I'm traditional. You know, Kobe, LeBron, I'm not sure. As great as they are, I don't know if they would give their all. I don't even know if they would participate in something like that. I think the slam dunk, gives opportunity for guys who maybe normally wouldn't be there in the games. The challenge, though, is obviously there's been, every dunk imaginable has been done. And so this is not 1988. This is not 1995. And certainly not 2000. And we've seen some unbelievable, amazing dunks: Vince Carter, Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, Jason Richardson. So whatever you're going to do, you're not just competing against those that are out there with you, but you're competing against, past champions. And so that's what makes it difficult. But every once in a while, there's an exciting slam dunk contest, and hopefully this year, one of those young guys can definitely make it all happen for the fans.
Grant, the Olympics opening ceremonies are actually underway right now in Sochi. Can you describe the feeling that you had walking out during the opening ceremony?
You know what? I was fortunate to be a part of two experiences. One in '96 in Atlanta with Dream Team 3 or 2, whatever one we were. And that was amazing, walking out, the whole world, athletes from all over the world, realizing, wow, I'm finally in, I'm an Olympian. It's started, I've watched it as a kid, and now I'm here, and I'm with the best athletes in the world. It was just an unbelievable feeling. And then last year in London in 2012, I actually was able to, I escorted the First Lady, to the opening ceremonies. I was part of her delegation, and so I sat with her during the opening ceremonies in London, and being a spectator, sitting with her, talking about anything and everything was certainly a lot of fun. And so I've been fortunate to be a part of two opening ceremonies, and I know the athletes that are there right now, particularly those from the United States, are fired up and ready to get started.
Grant, you had a very successful rookie year in the NBA. You were the co-rookie of the year along with Jason Kidd, but Anthony Bennett this year has really struggled finding his groove with the Cavaliers. If you were going to give him any piece of advice, what would it be?
I think the main thing is, this sport, it calluses you. It hardens you, and you're constantly judged. Whether you're, a guy who's not playing or first pick who hasn't reached or fulfilled expectations, or you're an elite player like LeBron James. I mean, he's experienced it. You're going to get criticism. You're going to, and that's part of the deal. I think the main thing is you got to distance yourself from all that, and you have to just get in the gym and work on your game. Don't get frustrated. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't just use it as incentive to work and get better and work on your game. Do what you need to do. If you're not getting the minutes, continue to work on your conditioning. Get in the gym. Work with coaches. That's how you ultimately make it. That's how you ultimately make something of your career. That's how you quiet the critics. Obviously, he had some talent that people saw, that the Cavs saw. Whether he deserved to be the first pick or a lottery pick or whatever the case may be, his career is still young, and so the main thing is just work and stay focused.
Can you teach a work ethic?
I'm not sure you can teach it. I think you either have it or you can develop it. But I think it has to come, no matter how hard he's pushed, no matter how hard, or anyone for that matter, is pushed, coached. You got to want to do it. You got to make up your mind that you're willing to put in the work. And there are guys in the league who don't have great work ethics. There are guys who feel like they've arrived, or they've signed a big contract, or they get by on their own natural ability. And then there's players who have a work ethic, and so I don't think it's one of those things you either have or you don't. I think you can learn, you can develop it, and I think I mean it's about being professional. It's about making the most out of what you have, and so I'm shocked that more guys don't have that. But it's the reality of professional sports these days.
Grant, before you came on the show, I expressed some reluctance to having you on the show because you and we've got beef.
I'm not entirely sure what our beef is, but I do know. I will say this, that I know you're big time now, and you're hosting radio, you articles. I mean, you've done quite well. But I remember you in a former life. And but anyway, what's our beef? I don't quite remember what the beef is.
You refuse to acknowledge that without Bobby Hurley, you probably would have been a second-round pick.
I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. I mean, I love Bobby Hurley, who's having great success as a head coach now, and University of Buffalo. And I think the world of Bob. I enjoyed my 3 years with him, but I think I would have still been. I may not have been the third pick, but I still would have been a first rounder.
Better point guard, Steve Nash or Bobby Hurley?
Oh wow, that's very similar. Very similar. Both of them took unbelievable risks with the ball, were willing to try any and all kinds of passes. Obviously, we didn't get a chance to see Bobby on this stage in the NBA at his best because of the car accident his rookie year. And so even though he came back from that, he was never quite the same. I think Bobby was maybe a better athlete. I think Bobby was a great, underrated on-the-ball defender. I think Steve might have been a better shooter, but I think they both were a joy to play with. They both loved to pass. It's hard to make that comparison. It's really not fair. I think if you compare them on what they did in college, you have to give the nod to Bobby. But, Nash went on, was an MVP, and really kind of helped change the style of play in the NBA with what he did in Phoenix. So they're both great players, and I was fortunate to play with both of them. And I'm good friends with both, so it's hard for me to make that call.
And I just want you to acknowledge from time to time, Grant, the contributions that Bobby Hurley made to your career.
No, look, I don't agree that I would have been a second-round pick, but I do agree that he was a joy to play. We don't win those championships without Bobby Hurley, and I had a blast playing with him. Great player. I'm glad you're able to continue to bring up his name and keep his legacy alive, because you know what, he was one of the great college basketball players, great college point guards of all time, and I mean, he was a lot of fun to play with.
Is the beef squashed now, guys?
It's squashed.
Okay.
We're good.
Yeah,
I can acknowledge that Grant probably would have been a late lottery pick without Bobby Hurley.
Maybe late, 10th pick, 12th pick, something like that.
Well, Grant, congratulations on all your success. You're doing a great job on television, coach the NBA Inside Stuff, and I'll see you soon down the road.
And good luck at the Rising Stars All-Star game.
And I'll keep our little secret about your former life.
You got it. He's Grant Hill, NBA on TNT. Grant was obviously referring to the ball boy days, when Grant was a player for the Pistons and the Magic, I believe, for a couple of years.
You had to run errands for Grant?
I'm sure I did. I'm sure I picked up a few things for Grant.